Today, joined with me is Titus and Lango.
Hello.
And hey guys.
Today we have an extremely close 3v3 on Frozen Lake Bad. This is a .96 battle, and in it we have Yale, we have Titus, who sent in the replay. He is, of course, playing Misty Mountains. Does he play anybody else? I
Duh.
don't think so. And on the left-hand side flank, we have Thorn. On the enemy side, we have Savage Paradox again playing Canned. And zooming across, we've got Bop Panzer? Is it Bo Panzer or Bop Panzer? Whatever.
I don't know.
Let's
He's
call
in.
him Pop.
We'll just,
Bo
we'll just
Panther?
call him Bop for short. And then we have
Yeah.
Crimson from MEK pulling up the left as Rudar. Okay, so we're going to quickly shoot on and we're going to do the army comps. I'm going to hand over to Titus now to do the allies and his allies team comp, and then Lango will take over and do the red, the enemy comp.
Yeah, dude. So, for Umbar, commanded by Yale, he's bringing some Belager footmen. He's got a couple units of those with some Corsair archers. He's got them in loose formation. Casimir's Legion in the back. I think he's got some halberds in there, right behind his archers. Yes, he does.
Are
Good
these
unit to
stacked
have.
units? I think, yeah, he's got some heavy infantry and some halberds in the front as well. So I think this
Yes.
is one unit of halberds and one unit of heavy infantry spread
Some
quite
serious
thin.
AP combined.
Yes.
Mm,
Yeah,
yes.
going against Rudar.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think he's got the warlords with him in the back.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
yeah, he's got some Casimir's Legion, some
Customers.
warlords. He's got some pikemen as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very AP heavy units, with a little bit of pikemen in there to hold the line.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes though, because Rudar's not the most heavy armored. They have a lot of archer range type units. So
Like I wouldn't
we'll
be.
see how it will play out.
This is quite a small army, high tier, but very very small.
Yeah.
And I'll be curious to see if there are any hidden units there, because I wouldn't be surprised if there was a archer unit or something just hidden. But
Yeah, maybe a ranger unit.
yeah,
I think he might have a
this is a
couple
little
ranger
bit too
units too.
small that I can count like about 10 units off the bat. So this
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
I
it's
think
16
there's
of them.
yeah I think this is gonna be some hidden units.
Something's hidden, definitely.
Okay, so moving on.
Yeah, so for my army, I don't even have to look at it. I already know what I bring. I bring 2 units of fodder.
Yeah.
I spread them out wide just in case any cav decides to flank around. They'll get caught by those cheap fodder units like a speed bump. Then I got 2 cheap goblin archer units, and I think I have 1 heavy goblin archer unit.
Yeah, over here
put 'em in loose
on your
formation.
right flank.
Yeah, put them in loose formation, just let it rain down. I got some troll drummers.
Oh, I love
They come in
that.
handy in this battle. Yeah, this is a the armies aren't too far away, so it's perfect to bring troll drummers because they don't have to walk as far. Then I have 4 units of heavy goblin spears.
The backbone of the army.
I like them a lot. And then I have 2 or 3 heavy goblin infantry,
4.
which is trash. You've heard me say that over and over again, but you have to have them because they fill in the lines. Then I have Black Uriks of the Mountain.
Some AP.
And- Yes, they're very good. They have high defense. They cost like 250, 300 more than heavy goblin infantry. So you
Yes,
always
look
should
at
bring
the
at
skin.
least 1.
I mean,
but I think 2 max.
I mean, it's worth it because these guys are shielded as well. The shields are located on the back.
Yeah.
And to have a shielded AP unit, especially when you consider factions like the Arthedain or Gondor, almost exclusively their AP is unshielded, especially when it comes in two-handed form. So having the shield value here actually cancel quite a bit. Misty is the heavy armored sort of orc faction for sure.
Yeah, that's why I like them. Then I got 2 units of cave trolls because I always bring them.
Yeah.
So don't argue with it.
Yeah,
And
they are
then I
they are
have-
sledgehammer with their
Yeah.
tight formation.
Then I got the Bulge champions.
Mm-hmm.
Really good unit. Charge is really good. They hold up really well. And then I got some Drakes over on the right flank
Yes,
with some. Yes,
Drake
they.
Bluedens are very, very annoying.
Yeah, they
And
just
they
pull
have
out.
a
It looks like a
ridiculous
snowplow, man.
charge.
Yeah,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they can run amok and go a little bit
yeah, they
crazy.
do.
Um,
You'll see in this battle do that too, because they just let them loose.
okay, so we'll keep an eye pierced. And
Yeah,
I
and
think
then
we've skipped it from the army comp, but we also have some warg skirmishers as well. Very,
yeah,
very good. Jav Cav, and also they're wargs. So even when they run out of missiles, then if you deploy them, especially against lower tier cavalry, they're still going to hold their own extremely well. So they're actually one of my favourite units to take for wargs, especially since there's 61 in a unit. It's quite a lot, even for a cav
yeah, and
unit.
they still have like a 3 charge, so they do a little bit of damage.
Mm,
I think 2 or 3. So after they
Yeah,
get done
3.
using their jabs, you can just charge them in like cheap archers or something,
yeah,
or take on cav, and they're a decent melee cav. They're like, good all around.
yeah, fair.
So that's pretty much it for mine. And then if you go over to Arthur Dane, he's got some dismounted Dunedain,
Yeah,
really good reliable cav unit.
yeah.
And then in his front line, he's got some cheap archers.
Yeah, some
think he's got 2
Everdim
units of those.
archers, and then I think is that 1 unit of Arthrodine marksman?
Yes. Yeah, he's
Slow mo
one.
firing. See the skirmish coming off now. And bear in mind this is only played like 100 or so frames since we actually started. It is on point 1, so this is a
Yeah.
battle that starts straight off the back. But I'll pass it back on to Totus.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick 3v3, but it's awesome. And then Arthur Dane Men at Arms, he's got 2-3 units of those with some pikemen mixed in there. Good at holding the line, and I'm glad he's got some shield guys around there just in case to prevent arrow fire. Dunedain Peacekeepers, they're like the same as Dunedain, but they have spears.
Yeah, pretty
So
good. They're the high
Yeah,
high
pretty
tier
reliable.
spear unit of Arthrodine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
and
keep
then
the
some-
peace in the backlines from
They
enemy
keep the
cavalry.
They keep the peace.
Yeah.
They keep the peace.
They do.
With some dismounted knights of
Yeah.
Illuminas, they are the heavy hitters for
Mm.
Arthur Dane, I think. Just an awesome unit to have, and I think he brought 2 of them. And then he has some mercenary war chiefs.
Yeah.
They're like the exact opposite, and they're not very reliable.
Yeah, no, for
So
sure.
don't ever send them into battle by themselves. They will crack.
Yeah,
They'll
Like
lack
most
an AP.
mercenaries, their morale is rather low.
yeah, and I think actually, as Arthrodine, I would be so tempted to spend the extra 100 and get the Arthrodine Car Andros Swordsmaster, I think they're called, something along those
Yeah.
lines. 100 florins more, and their stats are better all around. Most notably, as you guys have just said, better morale wise. Mercenaries tend to break very quickly, and it can cause a little bit of a problem, especially
Yeah.
if you're centering them and they are frontline, holding the line.
Yeah, then in the back, he just got some more dismounted mounted company, Dunedain mounted company.
Yes,
Not
dismounted
just
mounted
mounted,
company.
they're
That's OP,
mounted. I
man.
get that wrong all the time. No, they're mounted. They're on a horse.
Yeah, you can sit on quite easily, of course.
Yeah.
Dismounted,
got
but
some
also
Knights of
on a horse.
Illuminas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is
Hey,
the
they can
general
dismount,
unit
I
as
think,
well.
yeah.
I've actually started trying to put in my general unit to something like the dismounted knights, purely because I am so overly aggressive with my cav that it's kind of disheartening when you see your general go down in the first couple of thousand of frames. So I've started putting it in when I play Arthrodine. It either goes in the dismounted knights or the Wardens of the North. You can keep them safe a lot longer. It also means that, if you do take a beating with your knights or whatever unit you choose to usually put your general in, which is usually more often than not a cavalry unit for some reason, then you can just play a little bit more aggressive and you can be a little bit more careless with your cav. And actually, a lot of the time, you actually get more bang for your buck out of your cav because you're not being so cautious with them. But I think that pretty much clears up the Allies' army composition. So I'm going to now pass on to Langer to do Savage Paradoxes and his Allies' army composition, starting with the Varag Windriders.
Yeah. So as you said, the Varag Windriders, yes, 2 of them, and they are melee cav. They are very good against hunting down other cavalry units and cut them down.
Yeah.
They're quite fast as well on it, so they will serve right against Arthedain.
Yeah.
Right next to them we have the Brotherhood of the Bow, and they are more better quality skirmish power for the cavalry, and with the Chieftain's Vanguard, there's not much that can stand up to those two.
Yeah,
to best two.
These are probably one of the best missile cav units in the game, bar something like Grey Company. They're extremely fast. They're surprisingly well armored for missile cav as well. I'm not 100% sure as the exact number of the armor value, but these guys can take slightly more missile punishment than a lot of other archer cav.
Exactly, and well, the Grey Companies are better to sit in position and shoot down on lines. The Brotherhood of the Bow is better to hunt down other cavalry forces, especially with the Chieftain's Vanguard on even better cavalry skirmish units next to it.
Yeah.
So I don't think that the Thorn is going to have a good cavalry time, so to say, unless he can use his normal archer units appropriately.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
as we can
cool.
go on.
Those face masks, man.
They've-
They're awesome.
They remind me of the Immortals from 300.
They
Yeah, those guys are gay. These are cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
you don't
I
miss
do.
300.
I do. I think the Khan general unit is probably one of my favorite in the entire game. I love
Yeah.
his plumage of his hat, and that glaive is just so cool. You just wouldn't want to
Yeah.
meet him in a dark
He's
alley
a
somewhere.
real Khan. He knows how to fight and deal damage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Then we have 3 nomadic light infantry in front of them to
2,
really
3.
support the right side with some trash. With and with them we have the Nurad footmen.
Yeah.
I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, probably 4 unit of them all
Yeah,
across
4.
the line.
Yeah,
And that's not going to be an easy line to break through, especially not for normal infantry, considering the high defensive, high holding power that
Yeah.
they offer.
We talked about this briefly in the previous video. Nurad footmen, I would actually say they perform better than almost all of the men at arms units. These are incredibly good at holding the line, very, very defensive. They might lack slightly in attack compared to some of the other allied men factions like Gondor and Arthedain, but if you're looking for staying power, or if you have a skirmish heavy force, then these guys they're what you want to
They'll
bring
do their
us.
job.
Yeah.
And if you throw in
people
just
underestimate them.
halberds, it's you have the best of 2 worlds with it, and it's not much that can deal with that.
Yeah.
And after that, we have a really good-looking unit, the Nurad Warchief Retainers.
Oh,
So,
dude, they're so good. You'll see them shine in this battle.
yeah, they are
eye
already
on
shining
it.
in my eyes.
They're super good.
They're shielded
It's a
as
brother
well.
of the lands.
So shielded pikes or shield. Are these counters? No, they count as halberds, but still shield values for pikes and halberds. They're not super common. Sure, there are a few units out there, but having that extra defense, it's just one less thing to worry about. Especially since they're behind the Nurad footman line. I think these guys are gonna pack a punch. They're a very, very small unit with only 78, but you get what you pay for, I guess, at the end of the day, and these guys will see what they can do throughout this battle.
Oh yeah, and after them, we have 3 more of the nomadic light infantry just to fill the ranks, and in the middle we kind of missed the Nurad Windblades with the Brotherhood of the Lands.
Yes, we did.
One unit that is very heavy to the shock, another one that's going to hunt down. Yeah, I think it's one of the fastest cavalry with 1.4 on speed.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
The Windblades. The Windblades are scary. So
Yeah,
it's it's the best word to use for them. They're just scary. And with their double blades, they just make short work of most things. Obviously, since they do have double blades, that means no shield value, which means if you're playing against these guys, shoot them. Shoot them with high tier rangers, shoot them with high tier archers, because
with everything.
Just everything. As soon as they show their faces, because they will go down very quickly. They will go down very quickly, but not in melee. You want to shoot these guys for sure. And then the Brotherhood of the Lance are going to be the hard hitter. These guys have a charge of 15, I believe. They are pretty painful when played correctly.
You don't want them in your backlines.
You do not. You do not.
No. We can follow up though with the dwarves of Erebor. They have some mercenary cavalry. And as dwarves, they kind of lack cavalry forces, but they kind of make up for it in their
infantry.
Sturdy infantry, I would say, crossbows as well.
Yeah.
So he has on the crossbows the Blacklock engineers in the front line.
I think these are new units as well.
Yeah, what?
I think the Blacklock engineers are new units to 0.96.
Oh no.
Are they
You
not?
don't recognize the Blacklock?
I don't.
I've been here forever.
I mean, I can't remember so many people playing the Dwarves of Erebor. There weren't a favourite faction. I think since 0.95, everyone's been hyped about Dwarves of Khazad-dûm.
Yeah, and Blacklocks are really expensive, so not a lot of people bring them unless it's like a really
siege or
something like that, because they just destroy elite units.
I haven't seen them again.
They have like the ammo of a javelin unit, and it hit harder, and it hit as hard as a javelin.
Yeah,
they're
slightly scary.
Yeah, the shame is if he's firing already, he's going to shoot goblin infantry, and that's not a good target.
No, it's not. You want to preserve your ammo on your high tier for high tier troops. Let your chaff, and I would actually go so far as to say that all crossbows should do that. You should pick the most heavily armored target that you can rather. The most
that's
scary
how you want
one.
to kill the most.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it be sort of Drake broodlings, something that will pack a punch, But I'll pass it back on to Langer to finish off the Dwarves of Erebor.
Yeah, and we have 2 crossbows. Following that up, we have a big line of miners.
Yeah.
And I think we can kind of realize, see here, most of his economy did not go into his infantry, but probably more to the Blacklocks, the catapult, and other things.
Yeah.
And we'll see if it pays off to focus less on the sturdiness. And right behind them, we have some ironfoot spears. So yeah, we have just spears for survivability and miners for the AP. Could be a good combo.
I mean, yes, what I really want to see in this army comp is, even if it's 2 units of something shielded dragged across the front, because neither the miners nor the pikes have shields. So, I beg your pardon, the shields have
Spearmen has a shield.
Yeah, exactly. Spearmen have shields, but so I would personally have put the spears slightly in front of the miners, just because against Misty Mountains, you're gonna want to bring AP, and you're gonna want to protect your AP as well. So I think that would be. But I suppose it's so early on in the deployment phase that it doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah, and with that, we'll follow up with Rudar before the real battle begins.
Okay.
And that is, you get some Dinman scouts and some Harridan nobles. And actually Coldfell maidens too, so he has a good javelin and then some quantity arc cavalry with his 2 HP heavy shock hitters.
Yeah.
If he can utilize all the 3 of them quickly with each other, he's probably going to tear apart anything that comes his way. With that, we have another Cold Maiden that kind of is most stacked with his army.
Yeah. Just
Defensive against the warlords, I presume. With them, we have in the front line some marksmen, Rudar marksmen, just his lower tier archers, and some Ettenmore's troll hunters right in front of them, 2-on-2 for each.
This is
probably
this is quite curious. This is very aggressive play to be making with javelins this early. I don't see too much cavalry in the way of Jarl. I think he's only got a few units, and I know that the troll hunters are quite versatile and they can take a punishment. But still, to push forward this early, this quickly is, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I would say it's fine that he pushes forward, but he kind of like doing it on awkward position. His explosion is at the more troll hunters to the side, one of them at least. But we'll continue with the composition, get that out of the way, and then we can get to the juicy fighting.
Yeah.
So we have some Hardane pikemen, 3 of them, I would think. Yeah.
Yeah, this is 2.
And then right behind it we have 2 Rudar swordsmen, just ready to fill in the gaps and protect from archers. And I think that's pretty much it for him if he doesn't have anything.
This thing.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, let's go.
and we're just in time for the very first artillery shots to come in and show Titus who's boss. That is one very poor orc. I'm actually going to speed this up a little bit now. So
You can waste artillery and arrows on fodder all day long.
all day long, all day. Right. Okay. So I think since Titus had quite a big role in this battle, actually being involved, I think at least for the first bit of the video, I'm gonna pass on control, and I'm just gonna pipe in when needed. But I think without further ado, I'm just gonna let Titus talk us through what's happening in this battle, where things are, and his thoughts and feelings going into it.
Yeah. So this one, I was really wanting for Misty to kind of sit there and use all of my archer ammo, because I know he had those crossbows, and I noticed that catapult just going off, and I wasn't gonna sit there and take it. So you'll see me. I tried to do the whole skirmish thing, and it just I don't know. Seeing that, I'm like, no. So then I just
the drum ballista has its effects.
Yeah, so he's aiming, I think, for my troll drummers, which is a good
is.
position because there's a bunch of troops around it. But yeah, so I decided I'm just gonna go in and get my troops engaged, because that catapult's sitting kind of back there, and if I get at the bottom of this hill, he won't be able to hit me. So, but yeah, so that's my plan, and he stretched his line out for a mile.
Yeah.
And I could match it, but what's the point, You don't want to match someone else's front line. You want to flank it. So that's why I'm only going halfway through his front line, like we showed you in previous videos.
Yeah.
And I'm sending some troops around to the left, and then I have my kind of like fodder unit to kind of hold up anything over there that I don't care about. He's making a mistake by sending out these mines first, or miners.
See, I would say yes and no. I think, yes, he's almost sacrificing that unit, but what it is doing is it is stopping your advance. He stopped 2 units of spears, probably at least 1 unit of goblin infantry as well, with 1 unit. And what this will allow him to do is actually free up some time for him to react to you only attacking to one side. I don't think it's going to be so much time, because you are moving quite fast, but it is enough time for Savage Paradox to at least send his cavalry over, and we're actually going to see Thorn do the same as well.
Yeah, so yeah, he's got I'm glad that Thorn sent up some Dunedain mounted company, because gosh dang, they were trying to outflank me big time over there, because they saw what I was doing, and no, that cap was there.
See, you are focusing down the Neurodman blades. I've seen a few skirmishes coming in. We see some sort of cav engagements from Thorn, just sort of harassing Savage Paradox's line. You are actually looping around with the Drake Broodlings. I think since the fear has been taken away from a lot of Misty Mountain troops, having the Drake Broodlings be able to sort of loop around and recharge the backlines is now one of the better ways to ensure that you break your enemy. Although against the dwarfs, it's gonna be quite hard. And we're focusing in
Yeah,
on the middle at the minute because the two sides seem to be fairly skirmish heavy, both lending sort of
Yeah.
support to this middle fight now.
You see,
Yeah.
like, he did a charge right there. That's kind of a waste. I would go after the infantry more than the archers.
Yeah.
They're in loose formation, and they're goblin archers. So,
They're not even heavy. Who cares?
yeah, I mean, I don't care if they go after him because I'm only worried about my infantry. My archers are there to kind of answer back to enemy archers and have the enemy waste ammo on them. But if he wants to sit there and charge them, then, more power to you.
And
But, yeah,
as I sort of said earlier, the way that I would play it is have the Drake Broodlings charge the backline. It is quite a thin backline since he sunk so much money into those crossbows and that artillery that you are able to have the numbers advantage. And he is going to be supported by Savage Paradox. His ally hasn't completely ignored him. And we do have Crimson also supporting him as well. So it's been kicked off to a fairly ferocious start. And surprisingly, we see the Troll Drummers right in the middle of the action at a very early time.
And thank God they made it.
Yeah, and as kind of the battle in the middle kind of like slows to a grind, we can see that both your allies are moving up to engage your enemies, trying to lock every single unit in combat so they can't come and assist you.
Yeah.
I feel like that's it's interesting part of the fight.
Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't the only one that pushed up during this fight. Usually if somebody pushes up and the rest of them sit back, the person who does push up gets obliterated and wiped out if the other two players don't come up and tie out enemy troops and get their cav engaged and things like that. So it is good, and this battle, it's like an even playing field. It's almost like grassy plains, but really cool with a couple hills, and it's small. So I think it's an awesome place to have a battle at.
Definitely.
We do see the Brotherhoods of the Lance charge and sort of tie up the Knights of Illuminas, who were going after the nomadic light infantry, which is pretty much carnage. Even though there's 200 or so, the Knights would have made short work of them. And this is actually quite dangerous now for Arthedain. They're very close to the Savage Paradox's front line. He will be peppered by archers, but it seems to be relatively even, at least on the left-hand side flank. There is some skirmishes. What he tried to do with the Knights of Illuminas, he did manage to pull off with the Dunedain Mounted Company. And I'm just going to zip over to the far left-hand side, just so we don't miss any of the juicy action, because I do think we're about to have a line clash here now.
We already got.
Yeah.
You can see that he's trying to push up his footmen and warlords to the side and trying to like encircle with the Numenorians, because if you can get into the backlines of Dunedain, if you can shut down the Etymos troll hunters, then he's going to have a nice time with the front line, because Umbar's front line is definitely superior to Rudar's.
Umbar has just the armor values, although I'm pretty sure the melee attack values aren't too different. The fact that the units he's taken in this specific battle with the Castamir's Legion and these halberds backing it up, they are so much more heavily armored than Rudar.
They would win 9 out of 10 times against normal swordsmen. There's normal Castamir Chosen would slice through it like a hot knife through butter.
See,
it's the really only strong point is the pikemen, and it's kind of shame how Umbar's played this.
Yeah.
He put quite a lot of the elites into the front line, and as I said, even these halberds, he sent them into pike, and they've kind of fixed that problem, because the pike's range is much longer than the halberds at the moment.
Yeah.
Now.
No,
And
yeah,
that means
it
that
is.
halberds never stand a chance to any sort of pikes.
And although we see Yale sort of trying to take advantage of this gap that he's left, it's almost like Crimson has left it as a bait, because all he's done is just readdress the battle line. He's got his axe throwers on the right with some,
And here comes the hidden units, yeah.
and here comes the yeah. So he's positioned it very well, and even though I feel like Yale was the aggressor in this, I think he's overstepped, and he's going to be punished by the Coldfell Maidens, and
Unless
some of
his
the
warlords can do some lifting.
and these warlords are going to have very, very big shoulders to carry
Do you
this.
see his ranger units anywhere?
The Blackguard.
No. I think
Those are the
he
javelins.
has 2 units of rangers hidden somewhere still.
I doubt 2. You can all have 1. But I would be surprised if he
I
didn't.
remember he had 1 ranger unit. I don't know if he's saving it or what, but just keep an eye out for it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there they are, and they have a good volley off. You can see it like on the side, peppering down the kind of Corsair Blackguards at the moment.
Okay. So I think this is a fast-paced battle, so we're just going to zip over to see how Titus is doing, and it seems
doing very well.
it seems like he has taken advantage. He's taken advantage of the fact that Bop has planted so much money in his catapult, in his archers, which were very quickly taken out by what looks like the Drake Broodlings. So I think this is a classic case of Misty tactics. We've shown you this in detail before, which is why I haven't spent too much time on it. Effectively, what Titus has done is he's wrapped around the left-hand side flank, used his cav and his trolls to silence the crossbows, and the fact that Bop has taken so few actual infantry, half of which is unshielded, and the fact that the Goblin Spearmen AP amongst a few other units as well, it is a very, very, very good counter to the Dwarves, and that has freed up his army, which should be able to help pretty soon.
Yeah, and usually dwarves are Misty's Achilles heel if they play a defensive type strategy. But yeah, this time I got the better of them and I got lucky, I guess.
Yeah, our Drakes getting to the backs. It's gonna be good, just like with the warlords over there.
Okay. So if Langer, do you want to quickly talk about what's happening on this right-hand side flank between Savage, Paradox, and Thorn?
It would be my pleasure.
Right, take it away, man. Take it away.
So we have the kind of the Knights of Anumas getting a nice circus charge, trying to assist his dismounted Foremost Ernest, which kind of find themselves very sandwiched, and even if they thrive fighting against pneumatic like infantry and are very well to survive against footmen, they're still just so heavily outclassed that they won't stand long. It's like any sort of elites. If they're getting sandwiched, pressured on all fronts, they're gonna get stun locked and they are not going to get very much happening.
Yeah, and those pike were a little buckled. So I mean, there wasn't like a hard, steady front line. It seems like it's just like pockets.
Yeah.
They kind of charge each other and kind of took the both of them by surprise, I think.
Yeah.
Really giving the pain. But
at that point, it's just like who can outflank somebody the most.
Yeah, and considering Khan has more quantity, then Arthur Dane was doomed to happen one way or another.
See, yeah, no, I think at this point, Arthedain is a pretty much spent force. All of the pockets I see are...
Yeah, but this
is completely encircled.
Yeah, I mean, that unit's dead. It's Arthedain Men at Arms because... Oh, and that is the Knight of Anuminas. That is Thorn's general that has just got down to missile fire. This is why you should never run and show your back. but he is doing it to punish some of these nomadic light infantry. I think he's hoping to, because since they're already shaken, to actually break
He
them.
has to use them.
Yeah, he has to, because that would free up these peacekeepers. Although they're only 80, as I said in the army comp, they're very high tier spearmen for Arthedain, so they would make an impact. And we see the Chieftain's vanguard try and punish these troll slayers, which I believe were hidden. No, they were hidden. I think they act sort of like ranger units in the sense that they just do stay sort of hidden until they are used. We have the Wind Riders as well, just punishing them a little bit.
It's getting double teamed. I mean, that's a good strategy.
But then again, I wouldn't recommend you charging the troll slayers unless you have some very good chargers, because they have 2 HP. No, maybe not. They probably don't have 2 HP, but they are very scary. They have high damage.
You're gnarly, bruh. You see like troll slayers just like flying everywhere, man. Utter carnage, utter carnage.
Bad
I don't
time
even know
for
what's
me.
going on.
See, and might I just point out that for almost all of this replay, we've been at 0.6 speed, because this is such a fast battle that we just have to sort of slow it down. And we do have Tice's Drake Broodlings, who are very fast, heavy cav, sort of coming in and trying to sort of slow down. Yeah, just slow down Savage Paradox, punishing him a little bit, since he is freed up. This is a pretty much done battle at the minute. So lending hand to Thorn at this stage is pretty important. But since we've just spent some time with on Savage Paradox and Thorn, and since Titus is a pretty much one battle, at least this little engagement, I'm just going to zoom over and just see how Yale and Crimson are doing.
And that's a very interesting fight, because this one is a close one, I would say.
No, this one's a lot closer.
Pockets of victory on both sides. We have the Cold Maidens still charging around, but on the same time, the Warlords are very healthy.
Yeah.
There's plenty of axe throwers which should tear apart a knight unit. But on the same side, Corsairs, the Liga Archers, and all kind of nasty Corsair Blackguards also thriving in this environment.
Yeah, and
so good.
The Warlords just turned around and, just screw you, Coldfell Maidens. If you're going to try and harass me across these battle lines, I'm actually just going to turn around and kill you, because guess what? I might have 14 in my unit and you might have 19, but I'm better than you. So I think what he's trying to do is just take them out. I think they were a little bit... I would have personally backed them out instead of going for the archers. The Warlords were obviously in the sort of proximity, so I think this was ballsy and a little bit reckless play from Crimson. He does get out
to keep them all alive.
Yeah,
trying to maintain his formation, because if he would have been more defensive with them and had him hold back, his axe throwers would easily have dealt with the Umbar.
Bulge Champions coming over to help him out. I wanted to try to salvage any troops that we could get behind us.
Actually, the Knights of Numinous is also arriving.
Yeah, he's coming over here trying to get some cheap kills as well.
He's just like, nah, my side's lost, man. I'm gonna go fight somewhere where we can win. But this isn't a terrible thing. He can be really aggressive with these, because his general's already dead. He's got very little to use, and I think in such a close fight that it's a relatively smart move to move these guys across.
Yeah, but do you notice another deadlier force has arrived in this scene? And that's the Grey Company.
Yeah, where have these guys been? There's only 12 left. There's only 12 left. So
something.
It doesn't matter how many it's in them, the body piercing in these tight formations. If he gets those through the Axemen, if he gets those through the Rangers, or anything.
Yeah, no, I mean,
that's going to be enough.
I played a game earlier on today against Titus, and I played badly, and I still managed to get almost 600 kills with the Grey Company.
Exactly.
Like I played badly. Like it wasn't my finest hour. And Crimson, two people left in his general unit, and he's just charged into 67 archers, silencing all of them, and they're going to do pretty well.
That general is nasty looking.
Yeah, it's such a cool general, and we do see some
Prepaired
archer
team
fire
fights.
coming in, just trying to silence these axe throwers. They're painful, but my god, do they have like buggle armor value. Oh wow, wow! We see
that his general.
that was his general. We do see his general go down to some axe thrower. Not even a thrown axe. Look at
That's
this.
what I warned them about.
This is the power
Yeah, here comes.
of axe throwers.
I see on the mini map now. Here comes my general. I thought I sent him in over here earlier.
There we go.
Yeah, cheap kills coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, my fight's pretty much cleared up, so I know I need the support of Umbar to help me with Khan, because Khan outnumbers me. I lost a lot of troops when I fought the dwarves.
Yeah. As I said, it might look bad for dwarves, but their resilience always pays their dividends.
Yeah, I mean that's why they're Misty's Achilles heel, like because they
can be swarmed.
Win.
But then again, you do have a lot left, so we'll see how the other ones fare.
Let's have a look. So we have a couple of units of heavy goblin spears and archers. I saw. Yeah, I'm not sure if these guys are out of. No, they're not out of ammo. So he's basically, since Thorn is a little bit of a spent force, I think Savage Paradox has pretty decisively won. And I think Thorn kind of realised that, which is why he sent his Grey Company and his Anuminas Knights over. And we do actually see what looks like Yale beating Crimson with the support of Thorn and a few high tier elites. And that is Crimson's general, I believe. I think that was. So I think he was playing quite dangerous, charging these archers out the open.
He must be shot.
Yeah, no, I think he was, because I think he died like here, just outside of the. But yeah, no, he did some work. He played ballsy, and we do see the Grey Company out of ammo going for these Coldfell Marines. They're poor micro, so they're going to get punished and going to get charged off. But you know, these guys don't have lancers, so the charge isn't going to be that good. But they are, of course, backed up by Titus and his Bulge champion, who are just going to spell defeat for these Marines who have now broken. And I think it's fair to say that this right-hand side flank, especially with the support of the cavalry from Titus and Thorn, is pretty much over. And I think we're going to have a readdress of the battle lines, probably around this midpoint here where Titus formed up. And we're going to see Savage Paradox, who is, again, really quite healthy, just form up to address the battered goblins and the battered army of Umbar. Nice to see the captain of the troll drummers as well.
Yeah, he looks fancy.
Fancy. I like how I believe these guys, the troll drummers, have been the skeleton of the troll drummers, what is used for the Olokai now, which is why they're slightly bigger than they were before. Yeah, the Olokai, I mean, rather than Troll Drummers. Troll Drummers haven't changed in size, but I think they used the same skeleton for the Olokai, which is nice because I think they just look a little bit. They stand out a bit more from.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice those.
From the cave trolls. It's just nice because if you're paying an extra 300, sure they get armor, but you want that. It's like I said yesterday, the bigger the shield value in my head. The bigger the troll, the better the troll in my head. So we do see bare bongos just on the battlefield.
The longer the swing, so the harder he hits.
Yeah,
it's just physics.
I wish you could get your fodder to pick that up and keep playing it.
Yeah, man. It's all about the drum pay. And we do see the captain waddle down the hill. Leading his orc fodder troops into the second phase of this battle. As you can see on the minimap where my cursor is, there isn't much in the way of enemies, so we will actually see Umbar coming to support, and it's a question of whether or not Titus will get his skirmish battle that he wanted at the start. Now that the Dwarven Catapult is dead, he might actually get it. I'm kind of looking to see what Savage Paradox has in the way of cavalry, and he's got a few Wind Riders, a few Vanguards, and some more Wind Riders. This is actually a very depleted cavalry force. The Vanguards, if he groups them all together, he still might be able to get some really, really good use out of them. But against the likes of Bolg's Chosen, which are, by anyone's account, anti-cav.
And my Drakes, they routed, but they came back, so I have 12 of them. So luckily, I thought they just booked it. You never know what they're gonna do.
Just have a little
They're by my army. I pulled them back up.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then we got the Bolg's Chosen and the Drake Broodlings on the left. We have the 2 units of Warlords of Umber. Obviously, no general left. We just have the captain, and he is just middle finger up to the Savage Paradox, just stopping probably just outside of arrow range. I think that's probably about 200 range away, which is
I think they will just group up and do a united attack.
Okay, so
or will they, Titus?
Say what?
Will they group up and do a united attack, or will they go
yeah,
bulldozer forward?
I think I hold for a little bit, but I didn't want to just like wait forever. You know what I mean? So I wait until he gets there, and then.
In that case, I'm just gonna fast forward this a little bit.
Yeah, I try to start skirmishing here in a second.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put this to 2 speed, just until Umbar come, and we do see the start of the skirmish. So let's zoom in and get some cinematic fighting now. Now that the fighting is localized in one place, we'll get some cinematic shots for you guys. I'm aware that I'm a little bit energetic, let's say, when it comes to camera angles. I like to be everywhere at once, and I'm aware that, you know, I need to slow things down just so I can show you guys the pure carnage that is actually happening beneath our very noses.
Indeed, because there is carnage, and it's always nice to see the grinding of a fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be, looking at the what's left for both forces. It looks like on the mini map that, you know, there's a lot more allies than there are enemies, but
all of ours are depleted.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've just noticed.
That I have is the Black Uruks.
It really is. If you take a look at Khan, he has a lot of footmen, some pneumatic lights, and his neural warships. And against Mr. Mountain, those neural footmen is going to have a field day.
Yeah, because Mr. Mountain thrives on the spears. They thrive on armor piercing.
Yeah, the spears have armor piercing, but you know they are kind of outskilled, and their own defensive force will not be enough to stop the neural footmen.
No,
the only front line you really have against them is the Black Uruks, and they're going to do a lot of work. But there's so many footmen that for you guys to win this, you really have to depend on your Bulk Champion, your Drakes.
And most probably as well the armor that Umbar can actually provide. I'm not 100%. I mean, straight away we have the
Umbar doesn't have any armor left.
Yeah, I've just realised that, and we do have the Bolg's Champion silencing these bowmen straight away, and then supported by the Knights of Illuminas, depleted as they are.
Another key unit here I just noticed is Thorn's routing Dunedain Rangers. That was right next to the Corsair Archers, moving up there. You can see them.
Been Dunedain Rangers. That's what I was.
Yeah, Dunedain Rangers. They are right in between. You can see them.
Yeah, there they are.
If they can get a good arc,
then
really
the body piercing will count for a lot.
Yeah, because you can see already Mr. Mountain's front line is falling apart on the left side.
See, I think these are the Ranger arrows. You can see the puffs of blood. So they have not a good arc, unfortunately, but I do think they're going to change targets. I think he realizes very quickly and he is actually going to rearrange. He's sent some light footmen, I think more just to keep these peacekeepers and this left-hand flank from looping around,
Yeah.
because
Stop that breaking soon.
I mean he's done the same on the left-hand side and it's working better than it has on the right. But what
Yeah,
this
thanks
right
to like the
I just had a
Black
lot of depleted troops, and so did Umbar. So thankfully, even though they're very small amount of troops, that Dunedain was able to come in there and plug the gaps.
And I actually think that the cav charges from these bold chosens, even though this front line from this line is so thin, if not almost non-existent anymore, like it's this is so close because he's got the advantage on the right hand side, who is now looping around to sort of flank you.
Check the percentage out.
The percentage is now 89 to 92. This is insane. It's an insanely close battle, and I think it is all down to Titus's Bulks champion. There's only 10 of them left, but it's whether or not he can actually get them to sort of be cost effective.
Khan's general.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Black
that was-
Uruks of the Mountain, I believe, hacking down Ken's general.
But on the same time, we can see like the line disappears. It's getting disintegrated except for the Black Hooks, where they are.
Yeah.
And
They
it's kind
did. I think that for me, they were the heavy hitters on
of definitely.
my army today.
I would almost always recommend people to try and get some Black Hooks unless they're facing like very armored. Then the Berserkers could be a better choice. Or if they want to really focus on the fear factor.
94
But
to
otherwise,
92.
the Black Hooks, perfect, really hard hitters, very shaped for how good they actually are.
See, I think at this point in time, I think it's going to come down to morale. Looking around, there are a few shaken units from both Savage Paradox and also from Titus as well. He is doing a good job of clearing out these pockets, freeing some of these archer units, although they're out of ammo.
Down hammers.
I mean,
Yeah,
although
every
they're
3 seconds, I ping pong it back and forth. So I never keep my cav in there. Right now on a depleted cav unit, and I'm trying to get as many kills as possible. I just keep going back and forth.
Yep.
Like,
You
as
just
soon
want
as they
to
get
do the
there-
charge.
Yeah, as soon as they get there, I bounce it right back, and so it helps out a lot. When it comes to that's all you got left, and you have to hurry up and kill as many as possible. That's what I'm trying to do.
See,
And they've been getting some good cav charges off.
See, one thing I've noticed in point 96 is this tactic is played a lot more when you have a depleted general unit or a depleted cav unit. And one thing to note is that the knights now not only cost 1.5k, but they also don't have locked morale. So I've actually seen this once or twice where the general unit has tried this tactic and has just taken a little bit too much damage. Players used to the fact that they can't usually break, they've taken a little bit too much damage, and I've seen people rage about there not being locked morale. So this is useful, and you pick your targets well, and it pays off. But you have to be a little bit more careful than you have been in the past. And we do see the Black Rooks of the Mountain chase down some of these bowmen. They are broken, so I assume that they're going to turn around very quickly. The War Chief Retainers, we pointed them out at the beginning. These very, very scary sort of unit from Kand. And I think really now it's going to be the Black Rooks and a few archer units versus the versus the Retainers and Bulks Chosen. I think these two pockets of Nurad footmen are going to be over very quickly. There we go. They all just fell down. They had enough. Down to 3. I'm sure half of these guys are just faking death. They're just like, nah. Do you know what? I do not want to deal with this battle. And we're going to get a rear charge now on the Nurad footmen, which is going to spell the end of this unit as well. I would assume. If not, it's going to be done in the next cycle. And so we have some 2 units.
We can see the warships coming up in reinforcement with Nurad footmen, and honestly, taking a look at the warships, I could imagine them not being the best unit for the bulk champions to charge. So
No.
I think the
Yeah, because
best
they're
way
a
to
halberd
deal
spear hybrid type.
with HP,
That's-
high
Yeah.
spear damage, all of that, they're going to tear cavalry apart if you charge them, like the paladins for Dale.
See, I also think that they're gonna tear the Black Uruks apart as well.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
definitely.
that was a savage charge by Savage Paradox.
Yeah, and I think
I've not seen halberds charge as aggressively as that before, and of course,
they aren't halberds, but
kind of like fake
Yeah.
halberds.
yeah, there's some sort of massive club swinging object.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what Umbar needs to do right now is, while I still have Black Uruks left, he needs to get those archers up there and point blank and shoot.
Yeah, I think the best way to deal with them is to shoot them down, because they don't have they have an open hands, right? They have a shield on their back, but still, I would assume it's not as they won't stand up to.
Yeah, it's not the
Archers
biggest
much.
shield.
Shield on the back, I think genuinely
Watch this charge.
means lower shield value.
Yeah,
They
you can
have
really
it.
see
They
what I
have
talked
it.
about before.
And
Get wrecked on that charge.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think this
it's
is
very crucial to if you face people like the paladins, these war chiefs, inquisitors, that you lock them into combat. You go to the backs, and while they fight the infantry, you charge. And if they for just half a second you see them turn around, you bail for it. You do not charge them.
Yeah.
Because if they start charging your back, that's going to happen. You just have to bid your time, be patient, and find that that tiny opening.
That Goldilocks zone, and you
Exactly.
will see this quite a lot. High tier players will wait. They will wait for your cavalry to sort of try and get a rear charge off, and they'll just turn their halberds
Then that's-
around. And
Switch on a 5.
there is so much going on usually in a big battle line that if you're microing cav, you'll click them to attack, and you might not necessarily see them turn around. But
Yeah, and
as
like on
he's
this,
just
I
done
have
then,
no choice.
yeah, I mean Titus has got no choice. But exactly like
Yeah.
they've just done now, they'll charge something or be in a line, wait for the cav, and then just turn around. It's surprising how
Look at
quick.
those weapons, man. Those
I mean,
freaking.
yeah, it's mad, but it's surprising how quick they can react. Pikes are slower than halberds to react. So if you're rear charging halberds, then look out for it, because I feel like it's less of an issue if they're formed up or not, especially when you're playing with high tier halberds like this.
These guys take so many arrow volleys, and they're still alive.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Wow. Okay, so we're now down
HP,
to.
high armor.
Is this 1 versus 1 unit? He's chasing these broken Bellegarde archers, but it's now 26 versus 24. This is
So I think he was wanting to make sure they
Didn't-
die,
yeah.
leave, but
He's just
I mean,
exhausting his
if
men
they're
at this point.
broken and you hurry and turn around, break the other one, there's no units left, you win. So I think he ran off too far to try to catch these guys, which he didn't need to do that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But what he was making sure wouldn't happen is if these guys hadn't routed, then as soon as he turned round, he could just ping pong with arrows, and eventually,
Yeah.
if you had enough ammo, you would just win. But with these guys broken and these guys being shaken, I think when they get within about 5 feet, they're gonna break. Or
Yeah,
as soon as they charge, they're gonna break. They're waving already. They're the last unit on a field. This happens.
They know how hurtful a charge can be. I don't think they'll stick around.
Yeah, no. This happens when they're the last unit in the game. As soon as they get close, they're just
96 to
break.
99.
96.
That's
Shit.
crazy.
Shaken, and it is gonna be a win for Savage Paradox, Crimson,
Darn, I did not
and
expect
Bop.
that.
and it's going to be a 99 to 96% battle. Ladies and
That's-
gentlemen, this is down to 2 units. every other unit is either broken or dead, and that is going
And
to.
mostly dead.
This has been one of the better battles I've seen on 0.96, and we do see very, very, very high kills. Pretty much everyone on the whole team, on both teams, have got 2k plus. Titus, of course,
Yeah, that was
bringing
on large.
3.5k plus troops. Thorn only bringing 2k, and I think that's probably why he struggled so much against Paradox, who actually brought 3. So it had over
Second
1,000 troops, which means that, you know, his quality was kind of negated because he was able to force him into pockets and surround him and kill them off regardless of the tier of the unit. So I think that's where Thorn went wrong, not through playstyle, but rather through army composition. Um, I think everyone in this game, regardless, played extremely, extremely well. I'm just going to quickly pop over to the stats, and my god, 541 kills for the Bolgs champion. That is quite something. Black Uruks again with 284, and another notable mention is the Cave Trolls and some of the heavy Goblin Archers as well. What I will do now is I'll pass it on to Lango and Titus, see if they have any sort of feedback on the battle, and we'll wrap it up from there.
Yeah, no, I think it was. I mean, we just did this like 2 hours ago, so I told Liam that I'm like, dude, we got to put this up now before someone else puts it up on YouTube. So I'm glad we got it up, and I'm glad you guys stayed here and joined with us. And hopefully you guys learned something about it, and you guys don't play with Misty Mountains because they're my faction.
Yeah, hands off, guys.
Yeah. It's now official. It's yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
See,
So,
and Lango, do you have anything to offer?
Yeah, no, I think that kind of sums it all up. Good job playing.
Yeah,
It was
no,
nice
yeah,
swarming
no, it was
and
fun.
all of that.
I'm glad. I was like, yes, a close replay.